Hello everyone and welcome back to another Let's Try, and today we are discussing Foundation. This is a simulation game very similar to something like Banished or City Skylines or even Timberborn, which is a more recent style of game within this genre. And you get to play as beavers in that one. That's for a different video. But anyways, today we are going to take a look at what Foundation is all about from a game reviewer's perspective, and I wanted to just dive right in. So first we're going to look at the settings, and I'm going to lower the audio. Step one is always lowering the audio, because despite the fact that I don't have the game volume super loud, for me in general, I find that it can be rather intimidating, and I always just bring down the master volume. And depending on how things go within the game, I will adjust accordingly. So, with this, we see various things like unhiding control help windows. We see autosave in cloud, which I also do want, quick save in cloud, which I also want. I don't feel like showing the FPS because I don't feel like that is necessary in this style of game. I find it's more important in games like Tomb Raider or in Destiny or games where you have like an online component. And then I find that FPS, especially if it has higher graphics integrity, would be more pertinent information to know. So we're going to keep edge scrolling on. I am a big fan of that in simulation games. Cursor in window is helpful, although we'll see how that goes. Video, we have it at full screen. UI scaling, this is a big plus in my book, because depending on if I am playing here at home on my computer or if I'm playing at my significant other's place and I'm playing on the TV, I'm much further back, so I find I have to use the UI scaling in order to properly see all of the information on the screen. So big perks to having this. Of course, anti-aliasing and SSAO. You know, we have particles, shadows. I'm glad it's only at medium. I find that shadows can really draw on your GPU, and depending on what type of GPU you have, I don't feel like I need to see absolutely every shadow in the game. So we have depth perception, grass distance. Grass distance. Sorry, there's something separate from that. Anyway, so we looked at the audio and then controls. So it looks like standard controls here. WSA and D, Q and E to rotate, R and F to tilt. Okay, that could be useful. Page up and page down for zooming. Rotating camera is middle mouse button click, which is something fairly common in this style of game, so I'm happy about that. The pan camera is control middle click, seems a little bit interesting, but I suppose it makes sense. Home is focus camera on village center. Incidentally, I'm more accustomed to something like spacebar for that, but pausing with spacebar isn't necessarily a problem. Increase and decrease game speed, that is a very common thing. Game speeds 1, 2, and 3, again, very common. Help book is F10, tab to open book. Okay, that's not too bad. Close all windows, backspace. Quick save is Control S. I mean, that is standard fare in that if you are accustomed to something like Microsoft Word, you're constantly saving your document by doing Control S if you use hotkeys. So to have a video game do it that way, as opposed to, you know, an F5 or, you know, something like that. Paint zone. Okay, I'm interested. You have perked my interest. Alright, so let's just go on. Oh, I also see that they have mod support. And they give you the location where you can download these mods. So I imagine that because they include that they are modding friendly depending on what it is you're looking to do. So that is also kind of a plus in my book, because it's rather 50-50 whether or not there are going to be mods. So, coastal, you have fluvial. Oh, hot damn. Okay, we have a hill. We have mountainous. Interesting. And valley. I think I'll go with coastal first. I like the idea of having some points of defense. Mountain would also be something that I would do, but I would need to be more familiar with the game before I would embark on that challenge. We are not... apparently there are mods. I cannot see what these mods are, but, apparently they exist. Who knows what that is? So let's just, dive into gameplay. So first we have a help screen. I can see most of the information that I believe is going to be pertinent to gameplay up at the top. Your coins, what looks to be your diplomacy or your favor, resources, the villagers' happiness, and if any of them are homeless, that's going to be very important in this style of game. And then what materials you have stocked up. I like where this is going. The UI is pretty simplistic, and I'm a fan. And then we have this help book. So welcome to Foundation Help. The knowledge contained in these pages will get you acquainted with the game's core elements. To reopen this window at any time, click the question mark, the button top left of your screen. And if you want to adjust the size of the interface, click the gear button on the top right. In settings under video, adjust the UI scale, which we already looked at. Perfect. So, in order to start building your settlement, you must first choose a territory. Each available starting territory has all the basic resources for you to begin settling the new land. You will later be able to expand further by purchasing new territories. This feels very Civilization in that, where in order to expand you're going to need to buy more, and I'm thinking specifically Civilization. Territory can also be removed from your land ownership if you are struggling with taxes. That's an important thing to know. So your village center, so your build is the middle button there, which makes a lot of sense. And you pick village center, which cannot be later removed, so make sure you are happy with your placement. See, that's something that I'm always struggling with in games like this, where there are many games that don't allow you to move buildings very easily. If you are going to move a building, the workaround is make sure you have the resources, but you build a second version of that building somewhere else, and then you dismantle or demolish the old building so that you can plan accordingly. And because we don't know how this game is going to work exactly, I worry when your village center is the thing that is not going to be able to move. So that's just one of my personal gripes. That's not necessarily something that other people would find issue with, but it is what it is. Once placed, your first villagers will be ready to take orders. More villagers will arrive later once you have begun setting up assigning of workers. So this is another common feature, is that you're only going to start off with so many workers. It means at the beginning, you're going to have to assign specific tasks to workers in order to make sure that they do what you're looking to do. Now, this is both good and bad in this style of game, because you can you can easily make sure that the things you want to prioritize will hopefully get done as long as you have the resources, which is a good thing. But it also means that if their task is complete and you haven't clicked on the person to assign them a new task, they're just going to idle and they're not going to do anything, which is something that can be frustrating. It leads to a lot of micromanaging in this style of game, which is sometimes good and sometimes bad, depending on how you look at it. Quest window is where you find available quests and missions. Initial quests will help you guide through the first stages of creating a settlement. Cool. Hovering over a quest will open a pop-up that includes more details on the quest requirements. This is good. I always appreciate that you have the ability to see your quest, because there are certain games where you will get a quest and then you don't necessarily see it on the UI, and I would love to have even just the title of the quest sometimes, depending on what it is that you're going for, because you can get lost. And if you're a game reviewer like me, sometimes you don't have all the time in the world to play a game. You are playing multiple games, and by the time you come back to a game, you may have forgotten some of the controls or what you were in the middle of doing, or the thought process, especially if it's an investigative style of game. Having direction and a way to pin what you were doing is actually quite integral to gameplay. Okay, what I am not a huge fan of is mass amounts of reading before getting into gameplay. So I am going to maybe read the couple on construction. There are 3 here, and then I'm gonna leave the rest of it because it looks like a lot of this will make sense. Immigration is going to obviously be a key component to increasing your village's size and having more workers. Your villager happiness is another piece of gameplay that is very common in a simulation style of game like this. You want your people to be happy or they will leave, at which point it'll be harder to build things. Some buildings and monuments can be edited after they have been initially built, thus allowing buildings and their functions to grow with your village. Some buildings and monuments have additional parts that can be unlocked in the Estates tab. Okay, that's different. An Edit tab can be found in buildings that are editable. Once in edit mode, parts can be added from the available list. Once finished editing, click Build to have your builders construct your new additions. Oh, that's cool. Okay. I like that. That is something that is kind of different. Most games sort of organically upgrade depending on the desirability of the area, the amount of wares that you would need for it, etc. Most of the time you don't get to manually say, hey, I want to add a tower to this, or I want to, have a fireplace added to it. So that is kind of unique. Pressing T will turn off part snapping, allowing for even more creativity. I also like that. I also feel like clipping can happen in very strange ways, but that's neither here nor there. Okay, so I feel like we've got enough to at least start. So first, we need to have a starting section. Wow, okay, so both of these are on a bit of a raised area, which I was not exactly expecting. What I would like to see is how much of this is buildable area. So I think the flattest surface is on this square where we have less to do in terms of chopping down trees. It means we're going to start off with slightly less resources for this area, But we also have to see how far out our builders are going to go. So we're going to go with this. So now we have to build a village center. Okay, so left click to select and place a part, left click to drag to rescale, right click to delete. Okay, fairly common. Control. Oh, that's cool. And shift left click to base. Okay. Oh, interesting. Okay. I kind of like the idea of being just on the edge here. Yeah, so this building cannot be destroyed. Oh, we have several people. Look at that. So create a builder's workshop. Oh, this is much larger. Alright, so now we have a builder's workshop. And now we have all kinds of things. So we have a granary, which is obviously for food. We have a market. We have a lumber camp, which will produce wood. Stone cutting. Forester camp. Okay, so that's to reforest, which is good. This is another common thing. Sawmill for planks. A gathering hut. We are definitely going to need that. A well. We're definitely also going to need that. Oh, a bridge. Oh, cool. Okay, and then we've got different huts and things. Excellent. Okay, so number one, we're gonna need food. We're gonna need supplies. Okay, so I need a couple more builders. Yeah, I think I got everybody. This is cool. We've switched his job because I wanted to make sure that oh, that's cool. I'd also like to say the animation in this is really good. Look at that. I mean, aside from the fact he's not actually holding any equipment. Alright, this is a simulation game. It's not meant to be fully realistic. He didn't even put down anything or pick up anything. It was just assumed that he had them. Alright, so now we have a general idea of taxes per week and distance, so it's obviously related to where you already have started. And built. And this will be sort of the market lane. The berries are here. Oh, we're gonna have the granary here. Obviously, we have the lumber camp. So I'll tell you that I am planning on putting the church close by to the manor. And I want this to be more of like the residential side. And then this more of like the industrial side. And I haven't yet figured out fully what to do with the space up here. But we will get through something. I know that the warehouse I'm gonna put somewhere over here. If only because it's a nice central location, it will be good for the different things to be stored. I didn't have a forester. That was an unfortunate oversight. I'm gonna buy this one for free because it's got minerals and I need that. Then the other one I may spend the 500 to buy. Oh, that is cool. Okay, a sudden drought has caused a terrible shortage of food across the kingdom. There is simply not enough food to feed everyone. They need our help.